So I guess it's heard the intro, so he's not just running out the door, thankfully. But all good wishes to Greg. His birthday's coming up, but he has been infected by something, and we don't want him to infect us, so I'm glad he's home. But don't apologize. Yeah. Apologize if you came in and we had to call emergency or something.
Yeah, feel better, Greg.
Yeah, so we're thrilled, and now you will, of course, if you've listened to the show, know we have puns, so it's me, Rob, obviously. But we're very thrilled to have as a guest this week. Yes. Sorry, I have to say it. A river runs through the Carnival this week. River Lynch is here.
Hey, how's it going?
You're still going to be on the show now.
Yeah, I gotta go now.
Yeah, we've done it before.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
Okay, this has been getting at me, though. Okay, the Spiritmakers. Now, I was thinking, okay, the name. In a way, I'm going, it's like mystical, shamanistic. Is it that, or is it about making booze?
I'd say more of the first one. It's about the spirit of rock and roll.
See, that's what I got.
Yeah, so we have a song. It's actually the song we most recently released called "The Spiritmaker." I actually wrote that song when I was like 20, so I'm 33 now. So I've had that name for a while, and that song, "The Spiritmaker," is about lifting people's spirits through the power of music. And when I wrote that song, I was like, man, that'd be a good band name, So I held on to it for all those years, and then when I finally got a group together in 2016, I was like, hey guys, I got a name.
No, so and it's good. I always said
my
good friend Moondog Dave, they came up with the name American Moondogs. They said the one thing for a name is to look good on a shirt.
Yeah.
You do like psychedelic.
For sure.
But I admit, okay, I was thinking about it at your gig at Three Heads. I'm like, okay, this sounds like shamanistic, mystical music. Then I saw Alan Murphy playing it. It's about making booze.
Nah. I know. We had a couple people ask that and stuff, and I get it. It's cool.
I overthink with stupid stuff. That's why I do a podcast.
You know what's funny is with band names, I'm probably the opposite. I don't even think about it at all. I just think, oh, that sounds cool. And then later on, I'll think about it like, what is that band name? I'm not that
calculated. Like for this show, like one of the stupid names we had first we went to was like Two Peas in a Podcast, and I don't want to do that. So it's like it became like that scene in Animal House. It's like, how about Carnival of Randomness? Why Carnival of Randomness? Why? Why not? I can't think of anything else.
Because it's random, that's why.
Well, okay, me with who I know, it's like 90% music, but different kinds of music.
Yeah,
everything else. But that's the thing. Like my friend said, I wouldn't think that far ahead. I'd be saying, this is a great name.
Yeah, I mean, like when I didn't think that much into it. The song I did, when I was writing the song, I specifically remember spending quite a lot of time on the words and the lyrics on that one. I just really wanted to get it right and what it was about. And when it came time for the band name, I mean, to me, it just sounded cool, Yeah. But it does actually have meaning behind it,
because I was thinking of like that one jazz dude who makes like the gumbo, and I was thinking if it was the other way, you could be brewing whiskey on stage or something. But how did this all start for you? How did the creative bug bite you?
Oh man, when I was young, just the love of music. It came later that I played it, but when I was a kid, really, to my dad and my parents, really, my mom and dad, specifically my dad, playing music in the house, like we had a big stereo system, would be cranking the Beatles and the Doors and Zeppelin and Elvis and Roy Orbison and, a lot of those old, 50s collection CDs and stuff like that. So I'd be getting a wide spectrum of the music, and he didn't push it on me, he just played it, and I absorbed it, and I really specifically remember the Beatles. He'd be playing, like, She Loves You, and I'd be up in my room as, 7, 8, 9 years old or something, and I was like, what is that? I was like, wow.
Yeah,
it hit me like the way it hit everyone else.
Bought, I saved my paper route money. I went to Gold Circle, and I got the Greatest Hits 67 to 70, the blue cover.
Yeah.
And I played it till now. It's like warped. You can't play it anymore. Because it's so warped. And my exposure to the Beatles was actually, I have no reason why, but 4th of July's, and I've told like Julia Figueres and then when they've been on here, for some reason, XXI would run Yellow Submarine. Okay. My friends and I would go being the Blue Meanies. We don't like good songs.
Yeah.
And then that's how I was first. And then I saw Help.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people. I still like that better than A Hard Day's Night, even though, it's like I say, it's anybody's opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Well, anything could, different things connect with different people.
And
for
I do
all
like,
different
I used to do
reasons,
the George line, the best line. It's a thingy, it's a fiendish thingy, everything. But that's for the first, this is a common thread. Now, I got into a lot of different music because my brother was in a local band. So I was exposed, and it was like sort of a new wave punk. So I was exposed, like while kids were in school, we were listening to, album-orientated rock. I was all over the place.
Yeah.
And I was seeing stuff at Scourges when I was underage because you can't do shit about it now. And everything else. And I had this wide range. And he liked classical, so I would hear like Pictures in Exhibition.
Yeah.
So I always say...
So you get a wide spectrum.
Yeah, and where people like it. And I think sometimes it's what you know, because I would like try to get people to listen to stuff. Like I would make a Gun Club CD, and I would just hear, Rob, that music sucks. And why don't you listen to some good music, put some Journey on. No, if you like that, you like it. But it's like I always say, what I always try to say on this show is, listen to what you like, try what you don't know, you might like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just about every guest I've had on, few exceptions, obviously, they've come from a background like that.
Yeah, and when I was... a kid, listening to the Beatles at a young age and stuff, and the Doors, they're another huge influence on me, and Zeppelin, those are the early bands that got me into music, into the love of music to begin with. That was like when all the boy bands and stuff were out in the early 2000s and whatnot, so I was like kind of a weird kid for listening to like your dad's music, but I didn't care. It didn't, and then I found like-minded people who also, they show up wearing a Led Zeppelin shirt and they actually listen to them, in school and stuff. And you're like, let's hang out. That's how I met.
One of the coolest things I ever saw was Dick Dale, even though he almost got me killed. Dick Dale was at the House of Guitars. I go there. I'm like third in line. Dick, being Dick, is 2 hours late. He wants to buy the magazine I have off me. By the time he's done talking to me, I'm looking at people behind me. I'm getting beaten up in the parking lot because they had to wait so long.
Oh,
he's inviting me to his house at Big Sur. But I saw these kids, and they're like high schoolers.
Yeah.
And I'm going, they got to be like the weird kids. It's so awesome they're into this stuff.
That's the power of music, right? It's cool that, like age doesn't matter in music and to an extent of what you like. It doesn't... I don't care what generation it's from or what decade it's from, and I think now with having so many options of discovering music and just kind of being able to discover things on your own a little bit, it's more accessible, I suppose. You used to go to a record store and then you'd have to buy it. Now you just go online and you can just go down a rabbit hole for hours and discover all this music from all different genres. Like I think that's a really cool thing, and I think with right now, people are way more open-minded about different styles of music, in my opinion.
Maybe in a way, too, it's like, you think of the Beatles, and they're around because they're great.
Yeah.
And for me, my favorite song, and I rarely do favorites, but I do have, like, Strawberry Fields Forever for me.
Oh, yeah, I love
That's
that song.
That's the one.
Yeah.
But I think when you get older, you
when you
appreciate the music more and what they're doing and everything.
Yeah. Well, it hits you on all different levels, I suppose when you first hear a song and you're like, wow, what is that? It's like the most purest form of it affecting you. I personally, just speaking from me, when I first hear a song, I'm not necessarily thinking about what they're playing or the mix of the song. Sometimes, now that I've recorded more, I'm becoming more of an audiophile where you're like, wow, listen to that mix,
So listen to the production. Doing studio stuff.
Yeah, you become more aware of that.
Or you laugh like if, somebody like spilled coffee on themselves during this. Why is he laughing at that really serious song when they're playing?
Yeah, right. But when you first hear a song, I suppose, I'd say the general public isn't thinking about that kind of thing, and it's just hitting you, and it's pure, and it's just affecting you. And then later on, as you keep listening and down the years, you might look into the song more. You might discover more about it. And songwriting is kind of the same way, at least for me. Like I'll write a song, don't necessarily know specifically what I'm even thinking about sometimes, and then later on, like a couple of years later, be like, oh, that's what that's about.
I'm very fascinated by it, but I've always found there's like a loss and a gain too, because like back in the day, we loved the chase. Like you know the story about the Stones, where like Keith sort of knew Mick, but they ran into each
Yeah.
other, and they had the blues.
He had the blues albums that were so hard to find over in the UK.
Yeah, remember? Can you imagine in those days? Like if one person got it, everybody would get it.
Yeah,
and everything. Otherwise, there might not be a Rolling Stones.
I know.
Keith might have been an ABBA. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I don't know about that, but yeah, he talked about how he was going to mug him.
Yeah, but our chase, like what we would, back in the day, you go, oh, did you get that? Did they come out? I found this. Oh, look what I found. I found like a copy of the Zombies album at Lakeshore Records. Like what did I find?
Yeah, that is a cool thing.
Now,
it's a miss. That's
these
missing.
Days, what do? Amazon.
Yeah.
But I still go by friends' recommendations. Like I still remember, I'll see somebody like Josh Sineski. I asked him, like, what are you listening to lately? And he said the Fruit Bats.
Yeah.
So I tried it.
Yeah.
And that's what you do. Because, like, what kind of cool stuff have you found lately? Because it's always like, dig this band. Or I like some friends who are really into country, like Jessica Pratt's new album or something like that.
I know what you mean, though. It's a little bit less of that. It's like there's a little less excitement about like you having that physical thing.
It's like, I want this album. I'll go to Archival. So that's snowing out.
Yeah. There's pros and cons to it all, I guess, right? And I think that's why like vinyl is still really popular, is because people enjoy the experience of it. Like putting a vinyl record on at home. It's like
looking at the
art. You're setting. It like sets a mood. It's like adjusting the lighting in your house. I'm big on like lights. Like setting the mood, an atmosphere of wherever I am. I hate overhead lighting, stuff like that in my home. So like that, you're setting the mood. It's like you're painting the walls almost with color with your lighting, right? So music is kind of the same way. I look at it. You're like. You're creating an atmosphere and putting a physical record on. Hearing the pops and the cracks and stuff, it definitely sets a different mood rather than just pulling it up, I suppose.
Yeah, like I've always said, like a couple times, like when it's really snowing out, you're not going anywhere. You put on the coffee, dim the lights, and play jazz.
Yeah. Sets a mood.
But this is what how did you, like in terms of songwriters? I always said there's a lot of things like I write, then I can't do anything else. I do this show because I'm useless.
No, what do you mean, man? You're not useless, Rob.
Like I think it's like innate. I think someone is like being a songwriter and stuff. Like you have an arty brain for some reason. Like some reason you see things a little differently where you can.
Yeah, I suppose so. I wonder if everybody does, but maybe not everyone.
I think
not everyone pursues putting it into words.
Your dog. I'll example like Herb Smith. He did this one song called "Walking." So he's walking like on a trail, and he's got the one like little like this. What was it? It's like you would see a squirrel run across. You see the squirrel.
So that would trigger something in when you're saying,
But I remember Greg Townsend, like he did the one song ATM inside. Why did he do that? He just saw an ATM inside or sparks on the highway. Yeah. He saw some guy toss a cigarette out.
That's being and someone like Greg is probably puts himself in that mindset on purpose. I try to do that too. I'm sure a lot of songwriters try to do that. I've heard the story of like the Traveling Wilburys, right, with like Tom Petty, Dylan, and everybody, and they George Harrison had told them, they were just like, we need a bunch of songs, write anything you can, and Tom, I think it was Jeff Lynne and George Harrison kind of rubbed off on Tom Petty of that awareness of like wherever you're looking, and there's a song in every aspect of where you look. And then later on his Full Moon Fever album on Tom Petty's, he's got the song called Zombie Zoo, which he talked about. He wished he didn't put that song on there, he said, but I think it's a cool song. But he talked about it being like, at that time it was the late 80s, so there's a lot of the punk scene, and like he said it reminded him of like zombies, just the way they looked. He wasn't insulting him, and he met like a guy who was dressed very punk with the spiked hair and everything at like a cafe, who came up and said to Tom, like, I love your music. And it stuck with him, just his look. And he wrote a song called Zombie Zoo based around it. So it's like, like someone like Dylan too, that guy, he just must walk around at all times. It's like you're always in that mindset.
I think there's two things. One of the best things I've ever heard is Sunny Sweeney. She's just played at Abilene recently. She tells this story about how she does Willie's serious shows sometimes. She had a fill in for Loretta Lynn because she broke a kneecap. So she's thrilled. Loretta Lynn called her, and she said, "You know what songwriting is? It's write what you know." So that's why Sonny said, "Well, that's why I write all about breakups and alcoholism." But I think the other part is that write about what you see. Write about what you see, though, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to go around it and go about it, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, speaking from experience, if you can be in the mindset where at any moment you could have an idea. That's a good mindset to be in. It's not always easy to be in that mindset, especially if you work a day job and you run down a little bit or this and that. But it's mind over matter. So yeah, it's good to be. That's why they say write every day for anyone that writes for anything.
You write like if it comes out bad, just get it down.
It doesn't matter. Yeah,
but I've heard like too, and sometimes I think like I can't really force stuff and all. Like for this show, we started out. You go through your road bumps. I would research, do questions, and it sucked because you don't. The big thing I always say, and if you ever do a show like this, you have a conversation. You don't ask questions.
Yeah,
Make sure never. Oh, what is your favorite color?
Yeah, what's your favorite color? Green.
Boing. Well, you don't know that movie. Probably you're too young.
What movie?
Monty Python.
Oh yeah. Oh, I watched Monty Python.
Color?
I don't remember that part, but there's definitely scenes.
I am the Bridge of Death. Answer 3. What is it? What's your favorite? Blue. There you go. Everything. But I think that's it. But like also like I've heard like from Nashville, like it's publisher parish where like I have a friend where I've asked her like I saw her like how many songs you've written? 500. Next time now I'm up to 700.
Yeah, like a songwriter who writes for people. You're saying in Nashville. Like, what do they call it? Nashville Row, I believe. And I.
So you have to force it, then you almost see to me. I can't force anything like that. Like I can't really.
I can force it, like I have, but when you force it, I think it's never. It's probably never going to be as good as if it starts coming naturally. But sometimes you just have to force it just to get it started, and then maybe tomorrow it's more natural. And the more you do it, the more you're writing, the more you do anything, it just starts to become more natural, and you're in that mindset unconsciously.
Too, where I like for Wildflowers, we're bringing up Tom Petty.
Yeah.
You wrecked me. So I got the deluxe edition. It's got the nice his version of Leave Virginia Alone on and stuff, which I think
Leave Virginia Alone.
But he explains.
Cool
I love hearing the stories behind things.
Yeah.
So You Wrecked Me. What happened? He's got this song. It's rocking, but it's called You Rocked Me.
You Rocked Me, right?
I don't want to do this.
Yeah, it's so predictable.
How many people? You Rocked Me.
Yeah.
So it was just You Wrecked Me.
Yeah. It's like too. Have you heard with him? The song "Even the Losers" back in the Damn the Torpedoes album. He had the whole song except for the chorus of "Even the Losers Get Lucky Sometimes." But they went into the studio; they're all there recording it live. Like that's how they did it with very little overdubs at that time. And he just stood up to the mic and it came to the chorus and he just spit it out because he's like, "Well, the mic was on. We're all there recording. We're on the clock." And it's like that's pretty incredible, right? It's like to just.
But this is one thing I have to ask too. Have you ever had anybody come up to you, go, "That really affected me. That song." They had the meaning of the song totally wrong.
I don't know. I've had people come up and say like,
just this is like day, Sting for Every Breath You Take. He's like, people say, I use this it's about a stalker.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, it's also his fault for recording. The way it sounds. You can't blame people. You can't blame people for that.
I loved the Velvet Underground's album.
Yeah.
I play Venus and Furs all the time.
Yeah.
And my mom, she would just get the melody and start singing and going, "Oh my goodness, my mom's singing S&M songs she doesn't even know."
I love that song "Heroin." What's it about?
It's about doves.
Oh, it's about when people come up to me after a show and have a specific song that they're like, "I love that song," and they mention a couple words, like to me, that's the best feeling in the world that they were actually connected with them. They were paying attention. That's cool, and it affected them. I mean, that's like the best compliment you can hear. And I don't know. I can't say for sure someone's come up and had like a completely wrong interpretation of something, but I suppose there are. Once you put it out there, a song out there, it's like you don't own it anymore, and whatever someone's interpretation of it is, that's the right interpretation.
Yeah,
because
and I think
it's up to
that's
you.
where that's actually what I've heard. It's like you can't really understand some of the lyrics. Well, this is for you. It's universal.
Yeah.
It's like actually when I met Anne Royce made an appearance here, I bet her. She's signing your books, and I just said, it seems like vampirism's a metaphor for addiction, like heroin addiction and everything. And she looked at me, she goes, you might be onto something. I still haven't gotten a royalty check. But I think that's part of it is that it is universal.
Yeah.
But like I do tell some of my friends with bands on the little heavier side, I love your music. It's been like over 10 years, I still don't know what the hell you're saying.
Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't.
No, I mean, think about like if you're playing like in foreign countries and nobody could, but people just dig it.
Yeah, I know. I often wonder that. I'm like, you see artists, an American artist who writes in
I think you
English.
get the lyrics. You just get the
I'm wondering. You get the melody, and the power of it, and I often wonder if do they know what the song's about or not? But I guess sometimes it doesn't matter.
You know what? I can actually my friend Sean.
And I'm big on words.
My friend, my friend. I am too. I'm like my friend Sean. His band tours like all over Europe and stuff.
Is that King Buffalo?
Yeah, they've
Sean
been on
McVay.
the show. They're like all over.
Oh yeah,
the
they're doing
now.
great, man.
They're doing great, but he's a great guy too. I'm really
Sean's awesome. I
got to ask him that question because they go over to Europe every year.
Yeah.
And I was asking about how the mustard was in Vienna. Why don't I ask him? I'm not sure the mustard's really good in Vienna. And everything else. It's like, you imagine, I hate being looked at as a tourist. Like, you're in Vienna. Oh, you're in America. Your mustard's great. I love you.
Yeah.
I'm one of those off-road people.
Yeah, you go to you want to go to.
I don't want to be a tourist.
I don't either.
And I want to respect the culture
feeling.
because I've seen too many Americans act like jackasses when I've traveled and everything.
I'm conscious that even when I go to say New York City, I don't want to look like a complete buffoon, this guy's a tourist,
Yeah,
but,
that's very true. But now, how did you what was your first foray jump into playing and everything and writing? Now I know you put out something in 2016.
Yeah,
which I'm looking at the CD.
Copy.
I don't do research.
Oh, you're good. That's the first.
It's called "There Goes the Heart." 2016.
The EP. Yeah, that's the physical copy that we put out. We've released several songs since then. But just go straight to streaming, just because that's for now. But how I got into it, I don't know. In elementary school, you have to play an instrument, and I wanted drums and saxophone, but I got the trumpet, and it actually came pretty natural to me, which is, looking back, I'm still kind of surprised by that. I don't know why, but so I started with the trumpet and playing music, and then I wanted to play guitar. Like I said, I got into Zeppelin and The Door. I'm like, I don't see a trumpet up there, unless you're talking The Doors. Touch Me, when they brought the string instruments. Yeah. I appreciate the trumpet now. I don't play it. I often want to go back and I still have it, so maybe I'll pull it out someday. But I wanted the guitar, man, because it was cool, and it was all the rock and roll guys were doing it, and I just fell deep into that. So I don't know. I think maybe I was 12 when my mom finally, my parents bought me a guitar from an Ames catalog, and when Ames J.C. Penney. That's it, a J.C. Penney catalog guitar. Yeah, I was so pumped. And then quickly realized how difficult it was. And I remember it sat around for a while. I remember one day my dad, he goes, "So you want me to sell that or what?" And I'm like, all right. I'll start playing it. So I took lessons and just to get the fundamentals down and stuff like that. So yeah, and then high school, when I was in high school, I think I was 14, I had a band with, we were talking about it earlier, Sam Snyder. We went to the same high school, and he was in 9th grade, I was in 10th grade, and he had long hair and everything, and I had long hair, and that was kind of hard to find in the I think it was 2004. It
was worse for me. I got, you would get, if you had, I have this, they try to make you shave, or they give you the...
Yeah. I suppose now they're a little less strict on that at a public school, right?
I used to have the one my dad used to take me to this barb where he was one of those stuck in the 50s guys.
Yeah.
And I would hear well, you brought your daughter in again. One of those guys.
Yeah. My dad would he'd rip jokes on me too, and then he'd be like, and then he'd go, if I got a haircut, a little short, he'd be like, "What happened? Where's the long hair?" I'm like, "What?" He's just kind of ribbing me, but he actually liked it, because it reminded him of himself.
Yeah, my parents were they never understood it in a lot of way. My brother, but they let us do what we wanted to do.
That's
but
cool.
Then down the line, I would hear my mom would, they try to guilt you later. It's "Now you used to grow marijuana, and you told me it was a Boston fern, and I believe you. We could have got arrested."
A Boston fern.
I watered it for you and everything.
Yeah, I got some shit when I was a kid, and then I come to find out when you get older, you hear parents start telling stories of what they were doing in high school, and you're like, "Wait a second."
But then I would get my mom and go, "Oh yeah,
Hypocrites.
You remember when Dad brought you to bring you in, you bounced off the walls and puked." I didn't do that. I had food poisoning.
Right.
Whatever else. Yeah, find out they're just as they did the same stuff we did.
Yeah, for sure. But I get it from
you know.
Yeah, you're a parent. You're trying to do the best for your kid, you know. And
yeah. Did Sam always play like with the overhand, or
ever since I knew him? Yeah. I think the story on that was when he started learning guitar, he broke his wrist from like skateboarding or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, and like to get back to that, you know, I literally just went up to him and I was like, "Hey, you look like Robert Plant." He looked like Robert Plant in high school, and so that was the connection. And he said something like, I don't know, mentioned the Doors or Jim Morrison or something. I'm like, all right. And he's like, do you sing? And I'm like, yeah. Which barely. I wasn't. I couldn't sing like how I sing now. I certainly could not do for a long time. It took me a long time to really learn how to use my voice. So through high school and my early 20s, when I was playing and stuff, I wouldn't want people to hear that.
you know what I'm going to do now? Sam's playing at the Bug Jar in December, so
cool.
You've done it. When I see him, I'm just going to stop and look back. I never noticed it before. You look just like Robert Plant.
I don't know if he'll remember that, but he had long, like kind of curly hair at the time, and he looked like Robert Plant. But that was how that was how we met, and so we had like a band in high school for a short time, and just covers, right? Because that's how a lot of people get started.
I think
playing
you do,
the Stones.
You know what you do?
Stuff,
like you try, whatever you do, you write or you do covers, and then you find your own style.
Yeah, for
now,
sure.
I've heard you don't have to be. It's rock and roll. You don't have to be an opera singer. You have to have the feel.
No, yeah, it's like a Mick Jagger.
Now, I've always used that for prog. I think prog rock. I think it's a great challenge if you're a really, really talented musician. It's like you could test yourself.
Yeah, especially
now if you do singer-songwriting Americana. I've called your music a little bit. I've been calling it after the last show hardcore Americana. You're rock.
Okay.
But I hate labels.
I do too, and it's hard, because we're a rock as a band. We're a rock band. When I'm playing by myself, it's a little bit more. It's still kind of rock, but it's a little bit more Americana. I'm alone, I suppose. But I've talked to people too, and they're like, "No, that you're not Americana." I'm like, "Okay, well, I don't know what the hell."
No,
I am.
you know what I use this for Mighty High and Dry a lot, where I say there's certain artists where I go, I can't. What are they like? And I can't really describe, but they're good music.
Yeah, I know they're a hard one to label.
That's all
too.
about, but it's not really about the lyric. I mean, yeah, it can be some fantasy story, but it's like you're testing yourself.
Yeah, I mean, prog rock lends itself to musicality,
roots, Americana, rock and roll. You got to have a feeling.
Yeah,
that's all. You think Dylan? I always picture this joke about American Idol, which I hate.
Same.
But
absolutely hate that.
Could you imagine? Okay, we have our next guest, Bob Dylan, Tom Waits.
Oh yeah, right. Even Mick Jagger, man.
No, Mick Jagger. That's something. And I always go back and forth, like Stones. Then I go, no, the Who. They're like an amalgamation where they're like they're rock, they're prog, they're.
Yeah, there are a lot of different things.
They're arty.
They're another band that's hard to put a label on. You know, the Who, they've gone through so many different styles, or evolved. So did Bob Dylan, evolved so much, and they obviously don't care about any of that stuff.
Pete Townsend just writes what he wants to write.
Yeah,
that's what I love. Like Mick, the Stones never cared about reviews.
Yeah, why would you?
Yeah, then you think about Mick, really but he's not the most technically.
No, but I love his voice and the way he uses it. I love the way Mick Jagger sings, and it, like you said, man, it's not about the technicality aspect of it. It just sounds good. It feels good. That's all that matters,
and it fits too. It fits their music.
It's just meant to be.
I go back. This shocks me though. I never thought I'd get to the day when they're almost 80 and still playing.
Still doing it, man. I personally I know when Charlie passed away, it obviously changed everything. With
Steve Jordan's playing with them, isn't he?
Yeah, who's fantastic.
Who's played
right,
with
man?
Keith on solo stuff.
Right. It was and Charlie, I think, handpicked him as well to take his seat. But I still. And some people are like, "Oh no, you should have called it a day." But I get it. I get why they're still going out there because first of all, there's still massive demand for it, and also they just what else are you gonna do? Why stop? What else are you gonna do with your life, man?
Where with Robert Plant, where he thought it was when Bonzo died. They said it was and actually I've heard McCartney say this about Lennon and about Harry. It was four sides.
Yeah.
One went down.
Yeah.
And if you read about Led Zeppelin, it was there's almost two things. 68, 75 was during 75 to 80, there was all the accidents, tragedies.
Yeah, Robert
Plant
had a tragedy.
But Plant's more like a musical explorer, and he says, and I do think there's another reason though too. I think he's smart enough to realize he can't hit a lot of those.
He can't, and it's okay. When I just the other day, I think on YouTube or something, a clip from when they did that show. Led Zeppelin got back together.
The Arena.
And used Jason Bonham, you know?
Yeah, and also, I've just interrupt for them. If you imagine one of your shows, you go, they go, River, there were like 24 million people who wanted tickets.
Yeah, right. Could you imagine
million people.
That's insane. But I watched it and I was like, yeah, Robert's right, because he's not, it's just so drastically different than, I don't know. Led Zeppelin's a different situation than Rolling Stones, right? Because Rolling Stones just kept going, and they never stopped, really. Other than maybe the 80s.
I hate to say this but we could say what we want on this show, but like I was watching some of the songs, like a concert.
Yeah.
I saw, I couldn't help it. I saw Plant's Jeans. And that's I was thinking, what if we had a dream podcast with Robert Plant? I saw your Percy. But I guess Bonham gave him that name and he hated it.
I bet.
But the thing was,
I saw somewhere he talked about that, and he goes, he was complaining about the angle of the camera.
Yeah,
but
you can't unsee it. You're like, oh no.
You're wearing some pretty tight pants,
you made some of those hippies on acid. See, man. But I think he knew.
The Golden God.
There's a great quote about Nick Lowe, who's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, he's great.
And I always say his early albums were like gateway drugs to get you because you're like pop and punk. Mm-hmm. He said, "Isn't it feel good when you're wearing the clothes that suit your age?"
Yeah.
And I think Plant they you're going to get pestered about reunion.
Yeah,
he said it just doesn't do anything for me anymore.
Yeah,
and now for that show,
I
read a book about. He said he was very strict about the set list. Because he wanted to make sure what he could sing. Yeah. He said, okay, I'll sing Stairway to Heaven. He just says, I don't...
Kind of have to, right?
But we'll put it in the middle.
Yeah, well, you can tell the tunings. They drop the tunings down a lot, which I understand. I mean, you're not the same person anymore.
But now I'm looking at Mick, but it's blues. It's not like... it's a
different... I mean, Robert Plant was
getting back into you, obviously, new kick-ass version of Dead Flowers.
Oh, thanks, man. It's a
fun
one to play.
What do I do, though, when you're playing, it's good old Graham Parsons and all that.
Yeah, man.
It was like the influence.
That was the influence, yeah. They had that country influence at that time around, Sticky Fingers, Exile on Main Street and stuff. And
it was all Graham Parsons, I think.
The influence? I think so, yeah. With him
Keith.
And Keith were close. Yeah. And the Flying
Burrito Brothers. Yeah, it's one of those. I love how they went, after Brian died, and I think Brian obviously made a lot for that sound, into the 60s.
Oh,
in the 70s, what did they do? With Mick, they got into country, they got into funk, they got into reggae.
Yeah, and I think kind of almost made their own brand of the blues in a way. You know, I felt like
they went from a blues
Nick Taylor band was just
blues
amazing.
Cover band to their own form.
Yeah, they made their own dirty blues, man. I mean, a lot of people say Exile on Main Street is the quintessential rock and roll album. That sound, I kind of agree.
Sticky Fingers.
That sound. Yeah,
but Exile on Main Street, I just have because I played it so much it was skipping.
Yeah,
so I got the remaster.
Yeah, even I did with my CD. When it was the 40th anniversary of it or 30th. 40. And they released those extra songs they had. What's the song? Plunder My Soul.
Yeah.
Do you know that? Man, I love that song. They didn't put it on the album. They thought it was too close to Tumbling Dice. I could kind of see how the similarity, but man, that song is great. And yeah, I just love that album. Is so good, man.
But talk a little about now. This is There Goes the Heart. This is your first thing.
That was the first thing we put out as a band. Yeah, and I was playing by myself solo for a long time. Pretty much my whole life, I guess you could say. And I finally was like, man, I really want a band behind this music because I always heard it with a band. That was always the intention. But just finding the right people at the right time, as anyone knows, that's a hard thing to do.
See, for me, I've just noticed from being in the biz for years and years, it's not you might get somebody who's a virtuoso. You need chemistry.
Oh, for sure.
You need,
I
always say, you should have a lot of confidence in what you do, but to work with people, you have confidence, but you're not like an egomaniac.
No.
We're not touching mine.
Yeah, in our group, there's no room for ego, and we which doesn't happen often.
You're
but
not
there's
Jeff Becker,
little moments here and there. We'll call you out on it, or we joke about it.
You ever get somebody will come to you, you'll do a song, and they'll come up and say, "It's really good. You know what? What if we tried it like this? It might be better." Would you be open to it?
Okay, so Alan Murphy's been playing with us past couple shows, right? And he's a great songwriter, and he's got ideas, and he was like, what if we did this and that with a new song? We played a new song at the Three Heads show a couple weeks ago, and so they never heard, the group never heard it. I go, all right, here's a new song I've been playing out by myself. I want to show you guys it. And, we came up with how to do it and arrange things and stuff like that. And everybody has an idea, and when we band practice, everyone's idea is validated, and we listen and try things, and I mean, if there's an idea you really don't like, I'll just be like, I don't know about that. I'll still try it.
You have to have like the velvet glove, like on here. Like if I have my Stooges on with me, who aren't here today, you have to like. And it's hard, like whenever you do anything with people. Sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind.
A little bit,
okay,
yeah.
It's
you just gotta be
my name. It's my thing. I just have to. I just feel strongly about this.
Yeah. I get
Maybe give them a bone with something else then.
And I mean, there's a respectful way of doing it, which I try to do. I just try to be, because when you're talking about creative ideas, you can take it very personal. Like if you feel like you're being attacked. But I've never felt like that with my guys. And I hope they've never felt like that with me. But yeah, there are most definitely times where you're like, no, I really feel strongly about this. I really want to do it this way.
Well, actually, have you seen Young Frankenstein?
Mel Brooks, yeah.
I guess he had a big fight with Gene Wilder over the putting on the Ritz thing. It was the only time they actually had a really, really bad fight.
Yeah.
So what they did was, what Mel said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We'll film it. Then you can look at it and see.
Yeah.
And now, if you don't like it, we won't put it in. It's cracked up.
That's the best way. I think that's the best way to go about it, right? There are times though where I'm like, I don't even want that on a recording. Like, that idea, like, I can't do it. Working with a producer or something that we've worked with, my buddy Doug Zogby, who we've recorded with all our stuff up, and he comes from different backgrounds of music and stuff, and he'll have an idea, and I'm like, Doug, you know what, Doug? I don't. He's like, oh, I'll delete it. I was like, because I don't even want that. And I'm like, this sounds terrible. But you gotta let that go. I've let that go over the years, where I'm just like, oh, let's just try it. Who cares? And it's like a vulnerability. You just gotta put yourself out there. You just gotta try different things. You gotta stay open minded, because some really cool things can happen. You never thought that would be good. You didn't think that would sound good. You tried, and you're like, damn, that's pretty cool. So you got to stay open-minded about things.
It's like that hitting the perfect lyric, or like even doing one of these shows. It's like I try to get like a level where they're at least decent, but every now and then you'll get one like, damn, I didn't know we did that.
Yeah.
But I have to ask. I ask this question every time. It's coming. So we're rolling along, and then 2020 happens, like March. And how did you react to this as an artist? Is it playing out?
Yeah, we had some decent gigs booked. Like we had at that point of 2020, it was like February. We were on the books to play the Lilac Festival, which we have done before. It was a great experience. So that's like a good show, right?
I almost died on the heat every time I've gone to them.
Oh,
For some reason, every time I've gone to one of those, I got it's been like the ninth. It's been like under 20.
And it's like what, May usually. So you were not used to that temperature yet. Yeah. So it sucked. I mean, like anyone else, just watching your gigs all get canceled, and not just the gigs, but I mean, my first thought is to the music side of things. Like, oh man, I'm gonna have to. These gigs are getting canceled. Everyone else is thinking like, I gotta get supplies, and I'm like, oh man, the gigs.
I always just point out, and the thing, like, I know people did. A lot of friends did those at-home concerts.
Yeah.
And now the thing about them, like a couple people I know, they told me, it's not the same.
Because, nowhere near it.
Number one, like if you're like OCD like me, like I saw like Case Carl, I would follow him every time. He would have to stop to look at the comments because like me, I'm like OCD like that too.
Okay.
But like you don't have any audience response.
Yeah.
And it just gets after a while. Actually, one artist I saw, she even said, I have to be honest, this isn't even fun anymore.
No, it can get, music's made to play live in front of people, right?
Like, I'd be stuck at home. Man. I would have like calendars, like who's on today, who's on tomorrow, who's on tomorrow.
That's cool. That's awesome.
And everything like that.
It was okay at first.
But then I would hear like people, Rob, don't write the funny comments. It's cracking me up when I'm playing.
Nothing compares to like as far as gigging or playing music. It never compares to playing live in front of people.
And I was gonna do like I'm gonna be all creative. I think I did 1/2 page of a coloring book, and I got my laundry done. We're like, okay, we mentioned Sean McVay. I'm asking Sean how he's doing. I think he did like 4 albums worth of music.
Because they do it. I think they record themselves,
right? He did the concept album,
Okay, yeah. Some people thrived, and other people it didn't.
For a while,
work.
we closed down the studio.
Yeah,
we couldn't, because if anybody, that would be like for me, if anybody ever got.
Especially at that time when we didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. But no, at first when they're going on, like growing up, you're like, well, I lived through like the swine flu.
Yeah.
All
I remember that,
everything else.
That was nothing.
I'm going, it'll be done by Easter. It's nothing. Yeah, Easter 2025.
Yeah, well, I think we all thought that at first. Like, I remember my friend telling me about it. He's like, have you heard about this, thing coming? It's coming from China. Like, they're having an outbreak in China. And I was like, wow, that's awful. But I didn't think past that. And I remember him saying, like, he's like, oh, talking about the Lilac gig. Like, yeah, we're on schedule for that later this year. He's like, I don't think it's happening, man. I think they're going to cancel. I was like, what? No way. And then when they canceled, I was like, all right, this is serious.
It was a Saturday. I went to see Michaela at the Hollow in Albany. And I remember going, okay, it's like a new shell. It's like coming out. I'm like, do I want to? Yeah, you know what?
You mean your first show
This was just before. This was like March, right?
Oh, okay.
Like March or April.
Yeah,
so I go, I'm like, do I want to go? Do I want to go? You know what? I'll try it. I'll see. I go. I had a show here the next day. Monday, I go to return books to the library, and the library's closed.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, Andy, we're not doing this.
Yeah, I can't go anymore.
And that was it and everything.
Yeah, I know.
No, and actually, the first I saw you back was with Dangerbird, I think, or maybe
when
before.
We did a show at Dangerbird at Photo City. Yeah, that was
last year.
I don't know if it was.
No,
it wasn't. It wasn't last year. I think it was 2021 when things were sort of opened and sort of not. Yeah. So we had to follow some strict rules.
It was during the Lilac Festival because I remember
Michaela played.
And they came down.
So so Alex Cote plays drums with Michaela, and then he plays in Dangerbird, and then he plays with us as well. Alex is like an incredible musician.
Plus Mighty High and Dry, I think.
He plays Mighty High and Dry, yeah.
Plus he has a juggling act we don't hear about, and he makes balloon animals on the side. His wife might be a little bit of a good artist.
Oh, yeah, she's great. Allison's a very talented
artist. She did our
artist.
design. So,
did she? Yeah. She's very talented. Alex is just incredibly talented musician and just like a great guy and a good songwriter. And when he started playing with us 2019. And because we were a three-piece for a long time. We didn't want to be a three-piece. We just couldn't find the right guy, And when I knew him through Skylar, our bass player, Skylar Skews. They're great friends. I mean, they're like very close. They went to high school together, and they're in a band together. And so Skylar was finally like, "Let's just ask Alex." I'm like, "He's already in like 3 bands." No, he doesn't. Alex can do it though.
You have to do.
Alex makes it happen, though.
You sign a thing when you come to Rochester where you have to be in at least 5.
I think I might
they check on you.
I might be one of the only people that only is in one band.
I love your comment about songwriting too, where you the one part the band goes off, you do some solo stuff. Yeah. You say, okay, as a singer-songwriter, I have to write a song about heartbreak.
Yeah,
it's like the country song
requisite
where, well, my dog died, my truck died.
Yeah, if you write songs, you're out. It's like this unspoken obligation. You got to at least write one song about heartbreak, or 100, And I use it as a joke to introduce the song, but it's funny. You mentioned American Idol, all those.
I don't like labels.
I cannot. Well, I can't stand those shows because it's like they try to put everything in a little box and sell it to you, exactly. and they talk about on those shows everybody has to have an inspirational story, and that's really what they're selling, right? They're selling like this person has a story, which if you do, I mean that's your life. Yeah. So absolutely, there's nothing wrong with that. But my problem is with the show is it exploits it. And they push people out that don't maybe have a big background story to talk about because it doesn't sell as easily. So that's not the people having a challenging life. That's incredible. They've overcome things and stuff. No, I'm just talking about them selling it. You'll find out, like
you'll hear about some guy was homeless living in his van, and he's this great artist now. Yeah, some rich kid, or something.
It is what it is, though. It's like
you ever hear they call them like fake stars where. They make, and there's some people now. They work really hard, like Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish, industry plants.
They've called her
their background because she has this. And some of it's true, but her parents had connections.
Sure, but it's not.
But yeah,
I get it. Like it is, from somebody who just comes from. I just come from the country, the sticks, and my parents have nothing to do with any kind of music industry or anything like that. But I've gotten over that where I don't hold it against them. But why? Because why would you? If you have that in your background, why would you not use that to your advantage? If your dad knows a music producer or an A&R label guy, you know what I mean? I do understand like the chippiness of it. Well, people. Well, they're making up stories. Yeah. That's another thing, But what I was just kind of saying with like the American Idol thing with like the background and everything like that, like people, I don't know. What does it matter what background you come from? There shouldn't be. if you can use it to your advantage, it's totally fine. I just don't like the idea of packaging things. And talking about the heartbreak thing, right?
Yeah.
It became like a cliche with those shows. They made everything a cliche with music, and that you had to be over emotional about everything and this and that. And in my opinion, so like when I wrote it, I was like, I'm not writing a song about heartbreak or this relationship that ended because it's so cliche, because these shows ruined it for me. But then it just happened. I just wrote songs about it, and I was like, okay, now I get it. That's why people do it, because it does feel good to write. It's like therapeutic in a way.
Yeah,
and also,
there are those universal feelings.
Yeah, and I make a joke about like if you're gonna get dumped, you might as well get a song out of it, right?
Yeah, you know what I've said that I've heard like many people say that. Well, my bad relationships.
You gotta get something out of it,
me.
right? Yeah, yeah. Taylor Swift, right? Yikes! Watch out. She's like, people are afraid to date her. They're gonna write a song about you.
Well, she still hasn't written anything about me, I think. You know the joke.
It's coming,
Rob.
Our
birthday's the same day. So
December 13th. Which I know that because it was my grandma's birthday.
Just freaking knows it. It's unbelievable.
I know that because my
sure, you're a big Taylor Swift fan. You want to go to Taylor Swift cover band.
Secret Swiftie. Yeah. No, I respect her, man.
No,
I don't listen to her music.
See, it's not my type.
But
when I tell people, it's like bravo for you. You know, it's well done. It's just not my type.
Yeah, but it's okay. Like, she's super talented, and to build to get where she is, and have her how dedicated her fans are says something about what she's doing.
I'm just not
right,
a mainstream person. That's all.
And I don't really care. You know, for me personally, I don't care if it's mainstream, underground, whatever. If I like it, I like it. But I don't listen. I'm not listening to Taylor Swift.
Sort of big show I went to was Nick Cave at the Electric Factory. And he
cool.
Great. But I'm a small club guy. That's what I like.
Yeah.
I like the vibe.
Yeah.
I like supporting the music.
Yeah. They're definitely different. Yeah, drastically different experiences, like a theater as opposed to a arena.
Yeah.
It depends. Someone like Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah. Would you go to a stadium show?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I saw the Stones when they played in Buffalo at the
I saw them at RFK,
Stadium.
and the thing that got me was Keith had the cigarette the whole time. Made it worth it.
Yeah, how's he get it so it doesn't go in his eyes?
Lemmy's done that too.
I don't understand how he can do it.
But now what's coming up?
Eyes,
I mean, I think you're really talented. You've got a really bright future.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate
your band.
that.
No, you're real. I always say that about some people. Like, now I've seen, and you do what you got to do. I've seen some friends who've done like just cover bands, and it's like I call it making it. They're brilliant musicians, but you can tell they're just doing it for a paycheck. They don't have the passion.
Yeah, sure.
And you have the passion for it, and I think people rock out at your shows. I almost got hit.
Feels good, man.
I almost got hit with a scarf.
A scarf. Well,
one show I was not one of your shows, but I got hit by some hula hoop. That was a Maybird show. I should get to.
They got the hoopers there.
Yeah,
the hula girls.
The shining hoop. It was at the German.
You gotta get some hula hoop girls at our shows.
I haven't seen it as much anymore.
That was a big thing. I had friends
who
were
glowing, so you don't get
girls,
you could duck them. But there's a passion to it, and like people were rocking out.
Yeah, it's fun to watch, right? It's entertaining.
Yeah, it was like you're sitting there.
Yeah.
Well, that's me. I'm in the corner. People like.
But maybe you're more inward, right?
I am. I'm like.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, but some shows, depending. Like I remember this one show my friend had me go to. They're called Shiny Toy Guns. But I just went with her.
Shiny Toy Guns. I've heard of them. Yeah.
But the opening band, like it's all out of younger kids. The opening band. I'm like in the corner like that. I'm going. They gotta think I'm a narc. they gotta think I'm.
So I went to a house party one time. I was only 25, but everyone else is like 18, you know. And I was going to see Dangerbird play. Skylar's like, "Come to this house party." I'm like, "All right." And a kid came up to me. He was staring at me the whole time. He came to me. He's like, "Hey man, so what's up?" And I'm like, "I'm not a narc, dude. I'm here." I'm like, "I know the band." He's like, "Oh, all right."
Like
all right.
I will see, like I'm this middle-aged weirdo. Like I go for my walks. I'll see somebody walk by like with a punk shirt or something on, and I'll say nice shirt, and he'll like give me like Then I'll give him the whole history of the band.
Yeah. And they're like, "Hey man, I don't even know who this band is. I'm just wearing for a fashion statement."
Some of them, a lot of them, I've seen like these Iron Maiden shirts on. I got this album. They're like, they're a band that they're anime.
So I was playing a brewery over the summer, right? And
they're big now. They're breweries and cideries.
Yeah, they're huge. It's great. I personally love it. But there was a bachelorette party there, and it was fun. They were great. They were very into it. It was really, they were very gracious about it. But one woman was wearing a Kiss shirt or something, and I said, I was like, sorry, I don't know any Kiss songs. I don't play Kiss or whatever. And she wasn't picking up on it. And then her friend had to nudge her. She's wearing a Kiss shirt, and she still kind of was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, all right. So she paid $85 for that at Free People. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, whatever. It's cool.
The one.
Hey, but what a compliment, right? Like, same thing with the Stones. Like, you're so big that people that don't even listen to your music wear your shirts. Like,
but I guess like Neil Young would walk around before his shows and point out nice shirt. That guy look. How'd that bum get in a Neil Young show? But I heard this one. I was at Wegmans. I hear these kids go, "There's this guy on. He's old and weird makeup." And I go, "Dylan? Who's Bob Dylan?" Then you just go.
Just leave the conversation at that point.
Yeah, I'm old. Everything
no
else.
way.
But
Come
what's
on.
coming
young
up
people,
for you now?
I know a lot of young people who love. I mean, Dylan's my favorite. I know. I've met
just
kids who are like
Auditorium
18
Theater.
who loving Dylan.
That show is one of my favorite shows all time. It was 2018 Auditorium Theater.
Yes. Yep. I was there.
He was great. And, he can only play piano now because
he's got arthritis. Yeah. I have seen him. I've seen him 13 times. And my first time being in 2004 when I was like 14 or 15, went with my dad. And you got to, obviously Dylan doesn't, his voice is.
Sometimes he's good, sometimes
well, you got to understand, like, I don't know. I saw him in Buffalo one time, at Shea Theater, and I was walking out, and I heard somebody say, "Oh, it was the worst show I've ever seen." It pissed me off because I'm like, "Have you not listened to Dylan, anything new or anything the past 30 years? His voice is clearly different than. Did you go in expecting to hear what he sounded like in the '60s?"
And I love
the
thing that cracks me up is like that show. I thought the show was fantastic,
and his band is just phenomenal.
Great. But the thing that got me was like you know how Bob is, like he did "It Ain't Me, Babe." I think it was like his second song. He did like a Rolling Stone, which is like, and I love when he does. Like how he reinterprets something and go,
what song is this? Yeah.
And it's like, I've heard,
yeah, it's like, it's a stuck inside of Memphis Mobile.
But what is coming up for
with the Memphis Blues again.
New music coming out. You're going to be, now you're playing everything. And
yeah, so what I've got coming up in the next couple months, this is November right now, 2022, right? So I've a lot of solo gigs at the breweries we're talking about, which have been really great. And we were kind of talking about it earlier before we were
I should always tape the pre-show comment. They're more interesting than the shows.
Yeah. I feel like the brewery scene has taken over the old dingy,
ciders,
and the wineries.
Well, they're the same thing, honestly.
Yeah,
sort of.
But in a way,
they just serve a different.
Yeah, I think they've kind of taken over what the bar scene used to be, and it is a bar, right? It's the same thing essentially, but I feel like the atmosphere is a little bit more. I don't know what, it's not a dark, dingy
eclectic,
bar.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You get more like people who might not, I don't want to go to this bar. It's a dump.
Yeah, but they'd rather go to a nice, bright, brewery or whatever. Yeah. And I like both. I like the dive bars,
I was just at the Bug Jar. I live at Abilene,
But I do appreciate the breweries and, cleanliness now.
About 10 years ago, I really would appreciate the breweries.
Yeah. But the cool thing with them is you're getting people out who, maybe they didn't come out for the music. They just came out for a night or whatever. And they're discovering your music, who would never go to like Bug Jar. They would never go, maybe they wouldn't even go to Abilene or something, but they're going to these places, and then they do come out to those places to come see you again.
But I try to do it. I sell it. I always got a kick. Like I saw Michaela in Weedsport, and I was like the only one. Like I told her I'm driving home with her if my GPS took me some weird place. But I would see people who. And when you see an artist you've seen a lot, or like I'll see like these gigs at cideries and things, and when I would go up to somebody, like I remember when Adriana played one, and I would just go up and say, "Oh, you never heard? Well, she's really you got a website and try to sell it."
Yeah.
But then you go, "Well, I'm friends with the artist." Everything else, but I love that. I love to see the look on people's faces where maybe they're not paying attention or they come for the covers, and all of a sudden they go, "Wow, damn, this is good."
Again, like I say, man, it's like one of the best compliments you can get. Like they go, "Was that your song?" And they're like, "Wow," that.
Like
I love hearing that, man. It's cool.
That's cool. Kratz, man, he's played like out places like out in the country, and he'll play like some obscure country. He goes, "They think it's mine." I go, "Dude, just tell him it is."
There is that too.
I love your song, "Dead Flowers," man.
Yeah.
Sounds really stoned, like 70s.
Yeah. Oh, does it?
How can we get in touch with you? Make sure we follow you so we don't miss.
Anywhere social media is a little bit. So I got hacked like back in September. So it's about 2 months ago. My accounts got hacked, right? And it's been a problem for a lot of people.
Been a lot of those goofy friend request things.
Well, it was way worse than that. I don't want to get into it, but there's a method they use, and then to try because I have an account with a business account, right? Yeah. So I've got money tied up because I run advertising for people to try and discover our music. Long story short, they're trying to get money out of you. Anyways. So my the band page, the business account, the personal Facebook page, and my Instagram, because it's connected to your Facebook, because they don't let you do it any other way now.
That's why
they all went down.
Basically,
they all went down, right? So, and man, that's frustrating because that actually is a mainline connection to people that actually care about what you're doing. I care about what they're doing. You know, it's not just a one-way street for me on social media. I've people I've never met in real life. We have musical interests. They're in bands. I mean, and I want to see what they're doing. I'm interested in what they're doing.
This guy's got to be on drugs with the stuff he's writing. Oh shit! It's another Rob post. But is it all? So is it up now?
So I've got my personal Facebook page back and the Instagram back. The band page on Facebook, the River Lynch and the Spiritmakers actual band page, it's up and everything. But there's no. I was removed as the admin from the hacker, right? So. I have to figure out how to get the recontrol of the admin on the page.
See,
so if people,
we have one. I don't do the tech stuff, but let me see. Maybe my tech knows how to.
Yeah, maybe it's hard because Facebook just doesn't care. And to get my stuff back, I had to go through contact. I found out a girlfriend found out on a Reddit page what to do. Go contact the California District Attorney's Office because they're based in California.
Oh, because it would make
file
sense.
A complaint. And I filed a complaint with them, like a legal complaint, and told them, it's defamation. They were posting stuff that's just horrific, right? And that's how they get you banned. And I was like, this is actually defamation of who I am as this is awful. So they got it back in 10 days after I contacted them. It was kind of my fault. I forgot to put in I said the wrong terms where I didn't get the band page back. I got my account back, my business account, but the band page is no longer. So I gotta just contact them.
Well, we'll find you somewhere.
That's a long
you got
story,
merch and stuff. You got shirts. You got to put out something. I mean, you could still get copies of this.
There's a couple left. Yeah, but I've got a website.
I got mine. I don't really give.
Yeah, you don't care about anyone, right? Riverlynch.com is everything you need. I've got that. That's my website.
Go on. You won't be disappointed seeing a show. You'll be if you're me, you'll be sitting in the corner looking miserable, but you're happy. But you'll get really. It's infectious.
Cool, man.
Music.
Good.
But thanks a heck of a lot for being on.
Thanks for having me on. This is great.
And you're going to grace us by making sure I don't play on it so people listen to it.
Oh, right. I'm going to play a song.
He's going to play a song, and we're going to cut out a little and everything else. Get well, Greg, and happy birthday, Greg.
Yeah, feel better, Greg.
17th. And thank you for being, if you're sick, that you didn't come down.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I got some shows.
Catch River and everything, and yes, Joy Rochester now. Last I looked, it's snowing out. Yay. So
finally caught up with us.
And adios.
You fall asleep, escape the tide. You get lost inside of your mind. The truth that lives inside your soul. Fear, it has a place no more. Now we are free inside our dreams. Be whoever you wish to be. Oh, the places you will go when your light begins to flow. Surrender all control. Your dreams will show. Your dreams will show. Your dreams will show you where to go. Close your eyes and you will find there's a place inside of your mind where darkness fades into the light. Don't be afraid, come inside. Now we are free inside our dreams. Be whoever you wish to be. Oh, the places you will go when your light begins to flow. Surrender all control. Your dreams will show. Your dreams will show. Your dreams will show you where to go. If they are right, there's another side. And I'm looking into the light. everything is clear, everything is bright, everything is alright. Hey! Places you will go when your light begins to flow. Surrender all control. Your dreams will show. Your dreams will show. Your dreams will show you where to go.